In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the features of the Osmo Mobile 6 gimbal with an iPhone 14 Pro. And I've already got my shot list. And then at the end, I'm going to edit the whole thing together with some music, a little bit of color grading to create a pretty fun, professional looking video. So all I'm going to use is the gimbal and the phone. I'm not going to use any other accessories. So that really means that anybody can create a video like this just with the Osmo Mobile 6 and a smartphone. So first tip, think about shooting everything at 60 frames per second if you can, because this is going to give you some extra flexibility when you're editing. Some shots you can slow 50% to create slow motion, but you don't need to decide until you come to edit. I'm going to start my video with a shot of the wheel of the car as the car approaches the picnic spot. For this shot, I extend the handle of the gimbal and hold it upside down. Now I'm going to put the gimbal in tilt locked mode, so there are no up and down wobbles. Start recording and follow the movement of the wheel, trying to keep it in the center of the frame for as long as possible. So if you find it hard to keep the wheel in the center, you can use the gimbal's active track feature. Just draw a box across the wheel and perform the shot as before. And the tracking feature will then try to keep the wheel in the center. As the car approaches, I want a nice, slow, graceful crane down shot. So this is a really nice cinematic shot, and it's used in movies all the time. So again, we want tilt locked mode, extend the handle, start recording, and then as the car approaches, slowly lower the phone. So because these fold-up gimbals have a very limited room on the tilt axis, you do need to make a sideways movement, and it works really well. So shot 3 is just a simple pull back as the kids jump out of the car. So this is much more cinematic than just a simple static shot. And the kids' movement motivates the camera movement. And this time I set the gimbal to follow mode because I do want to use some tilt movement in the shot. So start recording and move backwards nice and smoothly. And I actually start this shot with a slight angle up and then tilt down a little bit as I move backwards. So for this shot, I want to film Andrea as she gets the picnic basket from the back of the car. So I chose the overhead shot because I do think this looks pretty cool. And as well, it shows the action of opening the boot and taking out the basket. So I'm going to set the gimbal to follow mode. Extend the handle and then use the joystick to create an angle down. Draw a box across the subject using your finger to activate the active track. I start recording and then I move from left to right in a little arc movement. And as Andrea walks away with the basket, I start to pull back and then the shot turns into a sideways tracking shot. That is actually one of the great things about gimbals. You can transition from one shot to the next without having to interrupt the action. In this shot, the kids are going to run towards and then past the camera. And I'm going to use the Osmo Mobile 6's active track feature here so that the camera will follow Amelie as she moves. Draw a box over Amelie so the gimbal knows what to track, and then just start recording. So for this shot, I'm not actually moving. Shot 6 is basically just a motion lapse as we eat our picnic. So you're going to need the Osmo Mobile 6 mounted on a tripod for this. Normally you could just use the mini legs that come with the gimbal, but because of the long grass I couldn't really use the mini tripod, so I just used a regular tripod for this shot. So I actually wanted to have the camera move in the same direction as the clouds during the shot. The Osmo Mobile 6 allows you to program a movement during a time-lapse shot, making it into a motion lapse. So I set the interval to shoot a frame every 2 seconds for 20 minutes. And then I switch to custom motion. Move the camera with the joystick, tap the plus button to set the start point, and then again move the joystick to the end point, tap the plus button again to set the end point. And now press record and you just let it do its thing. The next shot is a focus pull from Neil to Andrea. And the ability to manually control focus makes the Osmo Mobile 6 unique amongst fold-up gimbals. So you just press in the zoom wheel and it switches from zoom to manual focus. So make sure that you get as close as you can to the near subject, because otherwise you're not going to see much difference in the focus change. Then use the wheel and set focus on one subject, start recording, and then turn the focus wheel nice and smoothly and slowly to switch focus to the second subject. So for the next shot I wanted to use a dolly zoom just as Amelie is preparing to save a penalty kick, because the dolly zoom is going to emphasize the anxiety that she's feeling, just like how Spielberg uses it in the film Jaws, except this time we're using it for a kind of comedic effect. So switch the shooting mode to Dynazoom, and then for me I chose the move in option. It doesn't really matter, it just changes the way the background moves. So start recording and then move slowly forward. So the next shot is going to be a pullback from the football as Neil runs up to kick it. Extend the handle, switch to tilt locked mode, then flip the gimbal and phone upside down. Frame the ball in the center, start recording, and then move back nice and smoothly as he runs up and kicks the ball. So then I got another pullback shot as Amelie reaches out to save the ball. And this time I did it without the handle extended. And another pullback of Andrea reacting to the penalty save. So next I've got some shots tracking the family as they go for a little stroll. To make the shots more interesting and more varied, I used the extended handle to shoot high and low angles. For the low angle, looking up, extend the handle and then flip the gimbal and the phone upside down, and then use the joystick to angle the camera upwards. Start recording and use the movement of the subject to motivate your camera movement. So for the high angle down, you basically just do the exact opposite. Keep the handle extended, lift the camera high, and use the joystick to angle down this time. And for all these shots, you can just use the tilt locked mode. So as we come to the end of the video, I thought it'd be pretty cool to film us all just waving goodbye to the camera. And this is really easy to do using the Osmo Mobile 6 and its extending handle. So for this, again, I use tilt locked mode, 60 frames per second and 4K resolution. And of course, switch to the selfie camera. So extend the handle and this time use the hinge on the pan motor to angle the selfie camera towards yourself. And then in the edit, I slowed this 60 frames per second footage to 30 frames per second, and that creates a nice, dreamy, slow motion effect. And the final shot is kind of like a reverse of the opening crane shot. And this time, I raised the camera instead of lowering it. So this creates a nice bookend for the video. So for this shot, I actually started very close to the VW logo. And then start recording, and then as the car pulls away, I raise the camera slowly and as carefully as I can into the air. You just want to try and be as graceful as you can. So again, this is sideways, like the opening crane shot. And so this is the perfect way to end this fun family picnic video. Okay, so I've edited all those clips together with some music and a little bit of color grading, and this is what it looks like. So one of the things that I talk about in my 9-day smartphone filmmaking course are the types of shots that do make you look a little bit like an amateur, and I guide you towards the shots that turn you into a professional filmmaker. The steps are very simple and easy to follow, and by the end of those 9 days, you're going to be a much more accomplished filmmaker, and you can do it all with a smartphone. And that's available right now for members on Patreon. I've also created a lesson. We're going to go through the editing, the sound design, and the color grading process that I used for the picnic video. And that's all available for members on Patreon. So that's it for this video, and I'll see you in the next video that I see you in.